All right, we're back. Welcome. Welcome to still Saturday morning. I know I'm very late getting this podcast out. I did hopefully enjoyed the podcast for Monday. I think I had it scheduled to appear on Monday, get published, and that was the Cat in the House podcast. So hopefully that was pretty good for you. But anyway, welcome. Welcome to the Colonel and the Kid podcast. Greg Heitmann here. I am the kid. The Colonel is here in spirit. So the nexus of the podcast is based on my relationship with my grandfather, Colonel Edwin P. Hagen Jr. It's based on the memoir that I wrote. So I'm trying to go through that and build. That's the spine of the podcast. So I build out from there what other topics I want to talk about. But I'm back. Seems like I've been gone for a long time. I haven't done a podcast, but back from elk hunting. Totally successful elk hunt, just perfect, beautiful, except we didn't get an elk. There was so many people out there. I don't know. I've never seen as many people in the area we hunt. And I think I guess there was a deer hunt going on at the same time. And there was people camped in our usual spots. We had to find a different camping spot, but there was like 4 campers in the one area where we usually go. And then another 3 in an area right near there. So it was a bad start to the hunt to begin with, but the weather was nice, and I never personally saw an elk visually. Did come across them, scare them crashing through the trees, but it's still fun to be out there. It's beautiful country, and it's just so exciting just to be around them and get a chance. Never harvested, but that's fine. And that was for Angela's elk hunt, and so she had I think I had a good time too, getting out there and again my guiding skills. I've tried to guide. I don't know how many times I've tried to guide people on elk hunts, probably like 4 or 5 or 6, and I've gotten elk myself before, but I just cannot help. I cannot guide people to get elk. It's a weakness, I guess, for me. But anyway, looking forward to next year and maybe drawing some more tags and have another chance at elk. So anyway, back to my notes here. Got my notes. And again, the Colonel and the Kid podcast. This happens to be what I'm calling episode 9. And I did have that one off with Catalina talking about her trip to Nashville. So I think that's going to screw up my count technically what number of podcasts this is, but I'm going to continue to say this is episode 9, and it's also chapter 9 of the memoir. And the title of this, the chapter 9 from the memoir, is The Peonies. And those are the flowers that my grandpa grew and was very protective and proud of in his yard. And so I have a little chapter on those flowers and gardening in general. And I think I'm probably just going to jump into that because I want to get that read quickly before my voice starts faltering, possibly because I'm still kind of tired. I'm actually very tired from hunting still. I haven't caught up on my sleep. It's been rough getting old and struggling to hunt in the mountains and those steep slopes. They get steeper every year. Seems like it couldn't be that I'm getting older and less able to trudge up and down the peaks and valleys of the mountains. But anyway, let's go ahead and get the chapter 9 read into the record. And this is the Colonel and the Kid memoir. Chapter 9, The Peonies. And per usual, start with a quote. End quote. Life begins the day you start a garden. End quote. And this is a Chinese proverb. And starting the chapter. As I struggle to get past my infantile giggling over the most humorous word, peonies, I will strive to describe the beautiful blossoms these plants provided. What would one call them? Shrubs? Bushes? that's what I'm going to go with for my story. I'm not sure if Grandpa's peony shrubs traveled in the move from Siston address to the country house, but I do know that my parents ended up with the progeny of these peonies at their home in Groton, South Dakota. And I have some starting photos of the peonies. I'll just read the caption and describe the photos a little more here. Photos circa 1970 of peonies at Grandma and Grandpa's house at 505 Spruce Street East in Siston, South Dakota. If I do a volume 2 of this memoir, I think I'll have a chapter titled 505 Spruce Street. I have a lot of memories of that house in town, and relatively speaking, a lot of photos to reinforce those memories. So these photos are along the driveway of the detached garage at my grandma and grandpa's house in town in Siston. And these peonies are in full bloom along the edge of the driveway, and they're red and white, just beautiful, bright red and brilliant white contrast to their green, the greenery of their leaves. And it's just, it's amazing to me how nice of flowers they were. And I know that I don't know, I'm not going to swear to it, but I'm pretty sure that they took some of those plants and they replanted them at their country house just outside of town, west of Siston there, and grew them. But they're just, it looks fake, these photos that I'm looking at here. You know, I'll post them in the video podcast on YouTube, put them on there as far as that goes, so those people that are just listening don't get those beautiful rich colors. And these photos are ancient. I mean, these photos are from late 60s, early 70s, and they're still show brilliant colors. I mean, kudos to the film and the photography from that time, but pretty amazing colors. And then I have another photo, and this photo is from the south side of my mom and dad's house in Groton, South Dakota. And the caption reads, "Photo of peonies in Groton on the south side of my parents' house in the summer of the year 2000. And they're red and they look like pink peonies there. So I'm not exactly sure what the status of that, how that became. But maybe these are the progeny of the red and white cross, and they ended up being pink when they were transplanted from the country house from my grandparents in Siston down to Groton. And pretty good. They're not as full as what they look like in the Siston photo from in town, but they're got just brilliant colors there too. And these were taken in the shade. The photos were taken in the shade of the big ash trees along the street there, so they're just not quite as brilliant as they probably could have been in the full sun. But anyway, back to the chapter. Grandpa loved those flowers. He was especially protective of them, and I know this because we, the grandchildren, were warned about them. Much like Grandpa's radio equipment, we were told to keep our distance to avoid any accidental contact with him. Those flowers set along the driveway of the split-level country house west of town were a beautiful, welcoming sight for summertime guests. The country house had a great design. The large driveway brought you to the garage, and that was your main entrance to the home on the ground level. However, a fieldstone wall about 3 feet high and 5 steps could take you up the sidewalk to the front deck and front door. That nice stone retaining wall was rimmed by the peony plants that headline this chapter. It was a very inviting home and property. It's hard to imagine Grandma and Grandpa picking a more appropriate property for themselves. In through the garage, you stepped into a hallway where the laundry room and upright freezer resided. A little farther in, and you had Grandpa's den on the left. Parenthetically, much more on the den later. And to the right, Grandpa's bathroom, up 6 or 7 steps. And you were on the main floor and the informal dining area, along with the kitchen. Through the kitchen, you had the formal dining room, and around the corner, you had the large living room that faced east and the country road, the county road beyond the front yard. And I add parenthetically, looking out there, great big picture window at the county road, then beyond that, down the hill to the east, down the valley towards Siston, and just the very fertile farmland of the Flat Valley. So from the living room, you could take a few steps up the staircase. You'd find the bedrooms and master bath, 3 bedrooms on the top level. It was definitely a perfect setup until you get old and the steps became a hazard. I can picture everything as plain as day, full, rich, warm memories that I cherish. But back to the Peonies. I sit here typing, slow to realize how much of a Renaissance man Grandpa was. He was a horticulturist. This is another title you could pin to his skill set. Gardening and enjoying my own yard are something I came to later in life. I think I can trace this from my family. My parents had a great yard, and both my grandfathers owned green thumbs and proudly showed their talents in the field. And then here I have a photo of my grandpa Heitmann making an appearance in the memoir. I'll read the caption and then describe the photo. Grandpa Heitmann and the flowers around his house. This photo, circa 1987, is how I imagine Grandpa Heitmann when he crosses my mind. Out in the yard, shovel in hand, just in case he encountered a snake. So the photo is from the driveway, looking towards their house. I guess that's facing east from the main street. They lived on the north side of town, off of Main Street in Britain, South Dakota, and got all these beautiful flowers blooming. It's kind of shaded, so it's not really a great picture of my grandpa. He's kind of in the shade in the house, and some of the flowers are in bright sun, so it's a little bit distorted as far as the lighting goes. But it's expanding on the grandpa with the shovel that he hated snakes, so just hated them, and he would kill them just with a shovel whenever he saw one. He just could not stand them. So it's one of the memories I have of Grandpa Heitmann. And he was a farmer. You know, he had the farm up in Lake City, and he moved into town and continued his miniature growing, his agricultural skills there in town with his flowers. And it's just, I just can't help but just smile seeing these pictures like this and sharing them. And then some more photos from, this is from my mom and dad's house, you know, and I'll read the caption. I'll read the captions and describe each photo. Mom and Dad's front flower garden in Rolla, North Dakota, circa 1977. So this is just a whole bunch of flowers in the front yard, the front of the house, as between the sidewalk and the house. As you came up to the front door, there's marigolds, and I don't even know all kinds of other flowers there. Just layers of flowers coming up to the front door underneath the front window of the house. And good photos that kept, I mean, they've retained the colors very much so. I'm kind of surprised. And then another photo. This is another example of Mom and Dad's garden. And the caption reads, Mom and Dad's backyard vegetable garden in Billings, Montana, circa 1978. And there's, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tomato plants right up against the house. It looks like they have lettuce and onions and a bunch of garden vegetables. Very large garden in Billings, Montana. So back to the chapter. I return finally to the Peonies, the headline of this chapter. The lasting image of an impressionable youth was the black ants that seemed to love the Peonies. The visual of the sleek black ants, a little larger than most of the ants in my memory. They weren't huge, but big enough to stamp themselves on my brain. They were busy ants, as ants are, always on the industrious side. As I understood later, the ants were looking for aphids. Aphids, the small sap-sucking insects, are like cows to humans when it comes to ants. Ants can milk aphids and take this product back to the colony. More memorable than the blossoms themselves, the buds, the young forming flowers of the peony, develop beautiful spheres about the size of a large shooter marble. It's that image of the ants scampering across the peony buds that's fixed in my memory. My guess now is those ants found aphids on those peonies and milked them as they built their food supplies for the winter. I will formulate a plan to further understand the ant-peony relationship, and I really want to get a photo of these ants on the peonies. A trip home to my parents is warranted to try to forever capture the image on camera. As for gardening, I make a reference and could say that it's the same for my Aunt Kathy. She has her own set of peonies handed down from Grandpa that blend into her perfectly manicured yard and garden. And I add parenthetically that I never did get a chance to get back to get a picture of the Peonies at my mom and dad's because um, after my dad passed away, then my mom moved from the house, and I just never got a chance to get a photo of those. Maybe I can find some just randomly and have them in my in my library of photos of ants crawling across the peony buds, because it's just fascinating to me. It's just amazing what you remember, or what what the most visual stimulating memories you have. And that was one of the things I just could not understand, how those black ants were so attracted to those peony buds. And then those peony buds and those hard spheres became those beautiful flowers. Just amazing to me. I mean, nature is just fascinating to me. So, but back to the chapter. We'll wrap it up here pretty. I think it's a pretty short chapter, as it turns out. I have a lot of photos, but um, not as many words as usual. There are so many life lessons here. First and foremost is the joy and relaxation that can be found in gardening. Watching the stages of plant development and the fruits of your labor are incomparable. I came to these realizations later in life, but better late than never. Grandpa's peonies are unforgettable. And then I have another photo of my grandpa, and I'll read the caption, then describe. Grandpa showing off his backyard garden, giant sunflowers. Note the trees in the background. Photo circa 1992. So again, reference to the trees they planted surrounding their property. And he's got these giant sunflowers. They're just taller than my grandpa, probably about 3 feet taller than he is. And they have the flowers on them are probably at least a foot across, and they're kind of drooping down. They're just so heavy, laden with seeds. And he's posing by the sunflowers, kind of holding one up. And it's just a really cool photo, I think, of those giant sunflowers. And then I have a couple more photos of my own sunflowers that I grew back my backyard here in Santa Fe. And the caption read, "Photo of Greg's Santa Fe sunflowers from 2020." And they're smaller, and they're just the bright yellow petals and the dark brown center. It's where the actual miniature flowers are. But yeah, it's hard to grow sunflowers, it seems like, in Santa Fe, because there's so many squirrels that I just cannot cannot get them started. And I mean, the squirrels just love the tender leaves and the stems of those sunflowers when they're first popping out. So somehow we got to protect them enough that they can get a good start. And where the squirrels move on from that food, I mean, it seems like they move on through the season of different types of foods they like to eat. And in the spring, it's the sunflowers. They just love to mow them down. But so I got just a couple photos there of the regular sunflowers, and I've grown different kinds of sunflowers throughout the years. Not the giant ones that my grandpa has a photo of there, but I had some different colors, just multicolored. Some have those little, real rich reddish brown petals, and those are really cool. But in the memoir, I just included the traditional yellow sunflowers. So anyway, I'll wrap it up. I got a couple. I mean, this is a good chapter, because if you're ranking the chapters, if you have more than one quote at the beginning and one at the end, then you know it must be a special chapter. But I have two quotes at the end talking about gardening, and ending the chapter on peonies. So anyway, the first quote is, quote, "Gardening is the handiest excuse for being a philosopher. Nobody guesses, nobody accuses, nobody knows, but there you are. Plato and the peonies. Socrates forced growing his own hemlock. A man toting a sack of blood manure across his lawn is kin to Atlas letting the world spin easy on his shoulder." End quote. And that's a quote from Ray Bradbury, noted science fiction writer. And finally, the ending of the chapter, the closing of the chapter 9, the peonies. Quote, "Gardening adds years to your life and life to your years," end quote. And that is an unknown attribution for that quote. So anyway, that's the end of the reading for the Colonel and the Kid memoir. And I will, since I've seen these photos of the sunflowers, I had um, an opportunity a couple years ago. It was so interesting to me just driving um, back from seeing my mom up in Aberdeen. I was living in Fort Pierre, and there was they were this large field of sunflowers just outside of Pierre, probably 15 miles outside of Pierre, and they were in bloom, and they're spraying them for some sort of bug infestation or something. And I was trying to get my phone out, and I was going to get a little video of the spray plane, and it was coming right to me as I was approaching, coming to the field. I got to the field, and the spray plane was coming by, and I was trying to video it, and it was just so cool. And the spray plane just came probably within just 100 feet or so of my truck as I was going by. It was just awesome. But then it turned out I somehow managed to just barely get any of the video of the actual plane. So I'm just driving. I don't recommend this. Don't do this at home either. Don't do this, anybody driving and trying to take photos or video of anything while you're driving. It's very dangerous. I don't recommend it. And it's very stupid that I even tried to do it. But then it turned out that the video was terrible too, because I barely got the spray plane and you couldn't see. And then it came right by me. And I thought it was this beautiful video, this awesome video I could share with people. And it was just turned out to be me getting just like maybe the wheel of the airplane as it went by. And just like, just makes me angry at myself to think that I screwed that up. And anyway, all right. Anyway, we'll close out the chapter and get back to the rest of the podcast here and see what we got to share. I might keep this kind of short because it's actually November 1st today, and Saturday, November 1st. Yesterday was Halloween, but we're actually going to a Halloween party tonight, so I have some stuff to get taken care of, and I still have a giant mess from just unloading the hunting stuff from the week, and just got it laying all over the house yet. So I'm trying to get that things cleaned up. But so I think I'm just going to pass on the verbal abuse or abusive language section today. I do have something that I've had planned here, but I'm going to skip that over and save it till next time. I will comment on the baseball update. The World Series is going to a Game 7 tonight. Exciting. I mean, what more could you ask for? This is it. This is the final game of the year. Dodgers and Blue Jays. Dodgers won last night in Toronto in very dramatic style. They're up 3-1 pretty much early on, and got to the ninth inning, and we were out for supper, and I got home in time to see the last inning when I was surprised turned it on, and they had it was the bottom of the ninth, and there was runners on second and third, and they brought in the proposed starter for Game 7 for the Dodgers. His name is Tyler Glasnow, and he had nobody out. Guy on second and a guy on third, and they're up 3-1. And he ended up, he got the first batter he faced got like a jammed and just a little pop up to the first baseman, and so that was an easy out. So there's one out. Runners on second and third. I mean, the pressure must have been just unbearable, just unreal. And I'm trying to think of who it was. George Springer, who's kind of injured, but he was, I think, having a pretty good series. He got up there and hit a broken bat line drive to left field. So I think it really fooled the base runners, and I think it fooled the announcer to start with, because the announcer was like, "Oh, there's a drive to left field," and it really wasn't much of a difficult play, but the left fielder Kiki Hernandez for the Dodgers came running in, made the grab very easily and quick out of his glove and released to the second base, and he got a double play. I got the runner off second base, which was just a cardinal mistake for that runner to be doubled off on a line drive. But like I said, I think the broken bat liner just totally fooled him. So just heartbreak for Toronto to lose that game on a game-ending double play and send it to the game 7. So it should be a good game tonight. Exciting. Anyway, nothing more exciting than game 7 in a championship series, I guess. It's just, that's it. It's all on the line, and hopefully it's good. Hopefully they'll have it on at the Halloween party we're going to tonight, so I can be checking that out. So anyway, okay, I guess this is it. We're on to the NFL update. So here we are. As usual, I'd like to talk about the NFL and talk about my picks. It's not going great, let's say. It's good. It's okay. I shouldn't say that. I feel like it's worse than it is because I lose games so early and I have this bad taste in my mouth, and then turn out to win, most of the other games, and so that my record is actually not too bad. So far through week 8, 82 and 38 on the year, 68% pick rate. And again, please don't gamble at all. Especially don't gamble on my picks like I have any sort of knowledge of what I'm doing here. But 10-3 last week. Only lost 3 games. I lost. The Dolphins beat the Falcons. Jets beat the Bengals. And who was it? The Texans beat 49ers. So that was, not a bad week. I'm not going to complain. 68% on the year. I'm just picking out right. No spread or anything like that. Just get the W's. So I'm inching back closer to 70%, which would be sort of my goal for the year. That's get 7 out of 10. That's pretty darn good. So let's go ahead and look at week 9. And 14 games this week. There's only 13 last week. So week 9, 14 games. And there's already Ravens at Dolphins on Thursday night. I know it's Saturday morning. I'm behind on stuff and apologize for that. But I did pick the Ravens at Dolphins. That wasn't a real mystery where I was going with that one. And most people, Dolphins are just, they're not good. In fact, they fired their general manager after their loss on Thursday night to the Ravens. So Dolphins are probably going to be looking at firing the coach at the end of the year. I think they said they're going to keep him till the end of the year, but Mike McDaniel, coach, and Tua Tagovailoa, I can't say his name. Tua. Let's just call him Tua, the quarterback for the Dolphins. It's just not working out. I just feel bad for them, but oh well. Let's go on to the rest of the games. It's pretty good, interesting matchups for this week. The second game that we'll look at here is Chicago at Bengals, and this one's I'm picking the Bengals, and I'm not even sure if Joe Flacco is starting for the Bengals. He apparently had a sprained throwing shoulder against the Jets in their loss last week. They put up like 38 points and still lost. But so if he plays, I think Chicago is just not good. I don't think their defense is that good. I don't think their offense is that good. The Caleb Williams at quarterback for Chicago he's still practically a rookie, and it just there's just no counting on him. So I'm going Bengals, but don't be surprised if that's a loss because if Joe Flacco can't go, then oh well. Vikings at Lions. On paper at the beginning of the season, this probably looked like a real good matchup, but the Vikings are terrible. Carson Wentz is out. They're going with their, I guess, again, I'm calling him a rookie because he only started 2 games in his life so far, now in his second season. J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings just look terrible. They just got totally demolished last week by the Chargers. And I will resist saying San Diego Chargers because they're actually in LA now. But the Vikings, I think they may get beat by. I really could see them lose this game by 25 points, playing at Detroit. I think this is the Fox big game, so it's Tom Brady and what's his name, Kevin Burkhardt. I think they're the number one announcers. I believe this is the number one game for them, which is like that's that's too bad for them. I don't know. You never know. Maybe a miracle will happen and the Vikings will keep it close. That'd be nice. I mean, just nice to see some competitive games. But I'm picking Lions. I can't pick with my heart on that one. This strictly picking Lions. Panthers at Packers. Packers easily over the Panthers. Green Bay's I think they're getting a little better. They're getting a little with their wide receiving core. I think they're just getting them a little better on track, a little healthier. So and they have a pretty good running back. Their defense is not bad, so I think I'm giving Packers pretty good chance of making the playoffs and doing some damage. So I think they'll easily handle the Panthers. Game 5, Chargers at Titans. I'm looking at that game thinking that, I think I've said it repeatedly that I believe that the Titans are the worst team in the league. Um, they have won a game, and I think it was a gift given to them by the officials against Arizona earlier this year. But Chargers having to travel the Titans. Chargers had an easy game against the Vikings. I think the Chargers will just. I think they're just going to maul the Titans. Game 6, Falcons at Patriots. Falcons lost to Miami of all teams last week, and Michael Penix didn't start. They had Kirk Cousins starting, and I saw a headline after that after they got beat and Kirk Cousins started. This Falcons fans see why Vikings are glad they don't have Kirk Cousins anymore. So, I never saw any of the games because I was out elk hunting, but we'll see. We'll see if the Patriots can enjoy their success and keep winning in a game they probably should win at home against Falcons. I just you never rule Falcons out because they have probably he might be the best running back in the league. Uh Bijan Robinson for the Falcons. He's out of Texas, second year now, so he's good. So I'm picking Patriots. 49ers at Giants. Giants lost Scattaboo at running back, so they got a different running back. I think his name is Tracy coming back. I think he was injured. Now he's back. But 49ers have to travel across the country to play at Giants. I'm picking the 49ers against my better judgment probably, but the Giants, I think I think they had their little run there, and they got their rookie quarterback Jackson Dart. He's doing his best, but they've just had such a rash of injuries now. I don't. I think that they kind of fell back to earth, and I think it's going to be hard to get that momentum that they had for a couple games back. So, Colts at Steelers. This could be the game of the week. Colts best record in the league right now, playing at Steelers. Steelers paper tiger on defense. Offense is playing decent with Rodgers. They don't have the good weapons at wide receiver, so they're just not as good as they probably could be on offense if they had some better receivers, maybe. I'm going Colts, but it would not surprise me to see Steelers be able to pull this off, pull an upset, but we'll see. Broncos at Texans. Surprising the Texans won against the 49ers, but Broncos have been doing pretty good. They beat the Cowboys last week, I think it was. So let's see if they can continue to not mess with their success. I mean, sometimes you get some success and you start winning some games, then just you don't believe it yourself, I guess, and maybe fall back into some bad habits. So again, I cheer against the Broncos because of Sean Payton, the one of the worst humans in the NFL, I believe. So And of course, I say that because of the cheating scandal that they had, the bounties they put on players when the year they won the Super Bowl to try to hurt people. And that's just evil. I think he's an evil person. And I think he's not a smart person because he ended up getting hooked on drugs during the peak of the opioid problems that were going on. I think we're hopefully heading down the backside of that, and maybe that's abating somewhat as far as Americans being hooked on opioids. But Sean Payton has no business being in the NFL. I think he should be banned from the NFL forever, and there should be more stories about him, and he may be made an example of being a bad and evil and immoral person. So there you go. You can quote me on that. If he wants to come and plead his case to me, I'll have him on the podcast. But until then, I think he's just an evil man. So that's what I say. Jaguars at Raiders. This could be a good game. I mean, as far as talent wise, I think they probably match up. I'm picking Jaguars. Oh, to make it clear, I'm picking the Broncos over the Texans anyway. after my little tirade about Sean Payton and my dislike for him, but I am picking them to beat the Texans. And I kind of hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping the Broncos just don't win any more games in the year. Because they've had a good start, and it would just make my season if they just tank and then don't make the playoffs at all. But Jaguars over the Raiders. I'm going with them, even though it's going out to Vegas. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's why it's NFL is great. I mean, I could say that every game. We'll see what happens. You hear me say that? It's like a broken record. Saints at Rams. We'll see what happens. Well, I don't think there's much doubt about that game. I think the Rams will take them to the woodshed, and it'll be a non-competitive game and embarrassing for the Saints. Saints are starting some rookie quarterback they got. In the other game of the week, we have multiple games of the week. Chiefs at Bills, and this has been, I think the NFL loves to get this set up each year during the regular season between these Super Bowl contenders, Chiefs and the Bills. I'm picking Chiefs. Chiefs at the Bills. The Bills have dominated at home against the Chiefs over the past few years, but I think the Chiefs are playing way better. They're getting their offensive weapons back, although without Pacheco. But I think the Bills defense is just, it's weak. I think they got some injuries and they're getting old. So I just don't have faith in the Bills. I mean, unless it turns into just a scoring barrage that ends up being like 35-33, that could end up being maybe to the Bills' advantage. But I think the Chiefs defense and Spags, a defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, I think he's got a system in place with the talent that he has. And it's pretty efficient defense. So I'm going Chiefs. I think most of the country is going Bills in that, but not me. Game 13, Seahawks at Commanders, Sunday night game. Commanders, they've hit this Jaden Daniels at quarterback. I think he's going to play sort of the sophomore slump for their time in the spotlight. So I'm going Seahawks. I've heard it said the Seahawks have the best defense in the league. And if you want to look at the Ravens and their lack of defense and their struggles of defense, maybe you point to they're losing their defensive coordinator from last year because he became the Seahawks head coach and took his schemes and his ability, just his coaching prowess on the defensive side to Seattle, and they're looking good. And Sam Darnold, the 1-year wonder at Vikings quarterback, continues to roll in Seattle. I don't have faith in him. I think he will collapse under pressure. I think he's shown that throughout his career, and until I'm proven wrong, I would bet against him. But in the regular season game against Washington, Uh, Washington. Did I say Commanders? I meant to say Redskins. Sorry. The Washington Redskins, and this is Washington and Washington crime. Seattle, Washington versus Washington D.C. So we'll see how that goes in the battle of just the worst places to live, possibly the crime ridden and streets of just you know whatever protest and Antifa. I'm going Seattle Seahawks over Washington Redskins. Finally, finally, we have a game on Monday night that no one could care about. We could all laugh and not pay attention and just enjoy our Monday evening watching the NFL and its struggles because we have Cardinals at Cowboys. And I'm picking Cowboys. Um, I don't know. Historically, it seems like the Cowboys get beat by the Cardinals routinely, but I don't think so this time. I think Cardinals starting quarterback Kyler Murray is injured again, so I think the Cowboys offense will just be able to dominate. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be a 20-point victory for the Cowboys. And you can laugh at me if I'm wrong if the Cowboys do lose, but I don't know. NFL's just fun to watch, and I'll be staked out on the couch watching a bunch of games this weekend, watching these guys. Um, so that's it for the NFL update. But I want to continue the sports update here because we had the baseball and football, and now we're going to go basketball because the big news was that the FBI arrested some an NBA head coach and an NBA player that I'd actually heard of. I don't know if maybe there's other NBA people involved. They arrested these guys for um, conspiracy in gambling, a gambling sting where I guess the mob was running these poker games, and these poker games were fixed with marked cards, special X-ray table, and a fixed auto dealer slash shuffler that would set cards, and they were just robbing rich people blind with a fixed poker game. And part of the attraction was that what's his name? Chauncey Billups, who I think is the coach for Portland, and I can't remember the Terry Rozier. I think he played at Louisville, and he's playing for Orlando now. I don't know. Don't quote me on where they are, but these are like big names, quote unquote stars of the NBA, and they've both these guys have made millions and millions of dollars in salary from their playing days and from coaching, and here they are wrapped up in this just unbelievably just I just can't I can't say just stupid. How stupid are you to be involved in something like this? Are you just so stupid that you aren't aware of what's going on, or are you stupid enough to say, "Oh yeah, that seems like a good idea. I can make some extra money"? And it's like, I mean, these guys are going to be facing some hard time in prison. I'm assuming. I guess maybe the justice system is different for rich people too. So maybe not. Maybe they'll just get a slap on the wrist or probation. They'll be cooperating and getting all you know, the mobsters arrested and thrown in jail and testifying. Who knows, but it's just disgusting. Just, again, talking about the gambling and uh, maybe I follow the side of this conspiracy theory for everything. And for years, I've had the idea that I watch the NFL, but I kind of have this self-loathing feeling when I'm involved in watching NFL, even talking about this stuff, because I call it the NFL Incorporated because it's a business. They're out to make money. It's to me, it's not about competition anymore. And they make a lot of money. There's billions of dollars involved in just TV, and not to mention just concessions, ticket prices, parking, whatever it is that's involved in any of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, the products that they wear. I'm not wearing an NFL product. I think I'm wearing my South Dakota State University Jackrabbits, which is slowly becoming professional because now they're paying players in college level. Officially, they were paying them unofficially before, but now it's creeping down to the college level. And here I am supporting it by buying, my quarter zip here But NFL Inc. I think it's a good conspiracy theory, but so it's not even about competition. It's about how do you maximize revenue. So you have these certain games that are put together in certain matchups where you can get more eyeballs on the TV, sell more commercials, get more viewers. And I don't know. I guess you can't control everything, but you can control a lot of it and turn the knobs on and get the outcomes you want. So that you just can maximize revenue. And it just bugs me. It bugs me that I'm so involved in it still and just so attracted to it. And I feel like my own. I guess I am Sean Payton. I'm addicted to this drug that's the NFL, and I can't quit it. Like he can't quit opioids. Ugh, God, that guy. I'm just disgusted by him. And the NFL just lets it go on like nothing. I don't know. I guess I encourage everyone to just Google Sean Payton and opioids and see what the stories are, see if you can even find that information. It was so quickly swept under the rug and all this stuff. And it's not even mentioned anymore about his the Bounty Gate and that he was suspended for a year. I mean, it's just it, again. I like to say that I'm embarrassed that I'm even associated with this stuff. But here I am talking about it, and I don't know. I'd like to make it better. Maybe that's my mission in life here. Clean up the NFL and make it real. Make the NFL great again somehow. And just pure competition. So anyway, I forgot to mention the buys. There's still some bye weeks. There's 4 teams off because typically there's 16 games. There's only 14 this week, so there's 4 teams that have buys, and that's the Browns, the Jets, the Eagles, and the Buccaneers. So they got the week off and get their rest and stuff. And I can't imagine what that's like for the NFL team. I mean, this is like almost this is the midpoint of the season, really, and so you get a whole week off to reset your mind and get your body a little more healthy than it's been after the weekly pounding of the NFL. So, um, I did hear something about NFL going to 18 game schedule, which is ultimately I think what they want to do. And I think what they're talking about is that each team would get 2 buys during the season, and then the Super Bowl would be pushed back to the President's Day holiday, which would be perfect. I mean, because everyone would have the day off. Well, virtually everyone would have the day off on that Monday after the Super Bowl for President's Day, and you could have big parties on Sunday and enjoy that. So I'm looking forward to when they do that for the NFL, get to 18 games, and just add another. I don't know if they add another week on there, or if they. I don't know how it exactly worked, but that'd be so nice to extend the season, have a little. I can do one more picking week and monitor my progress. But anyway, that's it for the week 9 of the NFL. Looking forward to it. After missing my week out in the woods hunting, did get to hear a few of the games here and there on satellite radio, but it's not the same as being able to watch and see some of the stuff and be able to formulate your opinions on the picks and stuff and see how they go. So looking forward to that. Anyway, I think one of the things I wanted to do today is just I think we can see it here. Hopefully, I have a new addition to my background poster. My long hollow. This is right here. This is the long hollow poster, which is a poster of the book cover. Here's the actual book, Long Hollow. And I get cracked up because you can see how yellow and just discolored the poster was, because that poster hung up in my office when I was working for Federal Highway Administration in Santa Fe, and there was a lot of sun that came through my window there, and it really got discolored by I guess the sun there. And it's funny because it doesn't look at all it's supposed to be white like this background. And I designed the front cover. I designed all of my front covers of my books and stuff. And this is an actual. I actually have the skull right here. I'll show it to you. the skull, for those watching the video, you can see that this is the skull that was the model for the Long Hollow book back here. And I just took this picture and put it into um, Adobe and did some manipulating of the colors and stuff. And I then printed that out, and then I sprinkled some watercolor red paint on there to make it look like blood, I guess. But anyway, I'll describe this. Well, I just want to comment on this. This skull got broken really badly because it had the nose piece, as you can see from the actual book where it came down here. This is like a European mount for the skull for a deer, white-tailed deer, which was a 15-point buck. It has a lot of points on it, a lot of small points. Not that great, not that big of a buck, but anyway, Long Hollow. This was the first book in the series. This is a series of books. It's going to be 7 books in total. I think I have 5 done right now. Got 2 more that are in stages of being worked. I guess number 6 is pretty much done. I just do final edit and then publish. Final book 7 is I have the screenplay written, which is the basis I do for doing the book. That's it's the outline for doing the novel itself. But it's Long Hollow, a Charlie LeBeau mystery. And Charlie LeBeau is the main character, and I'll just read the back so you can kind of maybe get an idea of what this book is about. Bureau of Indian Affairs Police Sergeant Charlie LeBeau is ready to enjoy his annual fall deer hunt near his home on the Siston-Wapton Indian Reservation. The opening day hunt abruptly ends with a phone call from his boss. There's been a brutal murder. The deer slayer has struck. A serial killer is back after a 5-year absence. So it's like a murder mystery, and all of the series, this is the first book in the series, and all the books have some sort of shenanigans, including a murder that Charlie's thrown into trying to solve. And this was inspired by Tony Hillerman, who basically he grew up in Oklahoma, born in Oklahoma, but he came to New Mexico at a young age and was a newspaper man. But he ended up writing mysteries based on BIA policemen on the Navajo reservation, and then the northwest corner of the state and into Arizona and just the Four Corners region of the Southwest here. And Tony Hillerman wrote about his characters were what was it, Sergeant Jim Chee and Captain Joe Leaphorn. They're Native American police detectives, police officers on the Navajo reservation. So they're BIA policemen. And so I took that idea and transferred up to South Dakota area near where I grew up, and came up with my own character of Sergeant Charlie LeBeau out on the Siston-Wapton Indian Reservation. And I stole that idea, customized it to my home country. And little did I even know that similar fashion, if you've heard of Longmire, it's my stuff's in the vein of Longmire, which I didn't even know existed. Craig Johnson writes these books with Walt Longmire, and it's similar, but Walt Longmire is not native. He's a sheriff, he's a white sheriff working adjacent to the reservation up in Wyoming. So that's where it's set, in a fictional town of Durant, Wyoming. And if you've never read the books or seen the Netflix series, I highly recommend those books. I think Craig Johnson does an excellent job, and the series is really good on TV. So get a chance to check those out, please do. And then my own books are in that same vein. So if you run out of those books, start with Tony Hillerman if you can, and then Tony Hillerman's daughter, Ann Hillerman, has continued some of those books. I don't know how many she's done, 6 or 7, I think. Those are okay too. I think I've read a couple of them. So there's some pop culture recommendations for you to try out. And I keep saying that I'm going to do some TV recommendations. So I guess maybe that's one of my first ones. I guess I did the Terminal List. That's an Amazon Prime TV series. It's pretty good with Chris Pratt. So maybe this is my second one with the Longmire series on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix, maybe on some other streaming channels, but pretty good. I enjoyed Longmire quite a bit, and I've rewatched it multiple times. It seems like I get into these little cycles where that's what I like to watch, and if I'm just bored or nothing else good on TV, I'll just go back and turn on a Longmire and just pick it up where I left off, and just enjoy watching those shows. So I see we're coming up on an hour of the podcast. I do have a couple of things I wanted to mention, but I'm going to skip them, save them for next time. I guess maybe the one thing for the music update, I wanted to do the music update because we were listening we didn't have a lot of media. There's no internet or cell phone coverage up in the forest where we were hunting. So we get to the camper at night, it was just listening to your music off your phone. So I think I was drinking a Dr. Pepper, and the song Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie came on. And for some reason, I just thought, man, this is a perfect, I mean, just the way the cadence is for Under Pressure. They should do an advertisement instead of Under Pressure. It should be Dr. Pepper. So look that up. Listen to Under Pressure by Queen/David Bowie performance, and then you'll see why it should be Dr. Pepper advertised instead of, Under Pressure. You say Dr. Pepper. And then look up the lyrics to Under Pressure, and it's just it's hilarious to me because I was trying to think of I was going to make up my own lyrics for the Dr. Pepper advertising to the tune of Under Pressure, but there's a lot of just filler words where Freddie Mercury is just singing like da da dee da day, and it's just to look at the lyrics and read the lyrics. It's just it's just sounds that he's making. There's actually no words, and it's just kind of hilarious to me to see that. So that's the musical update for today. Short and sweet. David Bowie and Queen. It's a really good song. I mean, really inspirational song. And I will comment on the video for that, because I remember as a kid seeing that video. It must have been like the early MTV era too. And they would have it actually. I remember we had HBO, and they would play musical videos like between, because they'd start the movies at the top of the hour. So the movies they weren't always, they would end like at, let's say, an hour 43. So they had time to fill. So sometimes they just play musical videos. And I remember seeing the musical video for this Under Pressure song. And it starts off with like an engine from a car being blown up, just the slow motion, the parts scattering everywhere. Then at the end of the video, all the parts they play it reverse, and after the explosion, all the parts come back together real slowly, and then you have a completed motor from a vehicle. So that really stuck with me as a child too, to see that video. So look that video up too, Under Pressure by Queen/David Bowie. You'll enjoy it. And of course, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about that the bass line for Under Pressure, that Vanilla Ice took that dun 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 da 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 da, and he made that the through line for his Ice Ice Baby song, which was a huge hit. I think it's still pretty huge. People love that song, Vanilla Ice and Ice Ice Baby. So classic just a perfect classic musical update inspired by drinking a Dr. Pepper and hearing Under Pressure at the same time. And I don't know if anybody's ever even thought about that. I did a little Google to see if that was a thing that or maybe I had just discovered it now. And if I did, I'm giving myself full credit, and hopefully Dr. Pepper will come to me with some sort of, I guess, compensation package for coming up with this great idea. So anybody out there wants to forward this on to the Dr. Pepper company, feel free. I mean, I don't have to give me compensation. They could just give me credit. I guess maybe that'd be the biggest thing. So anyway, we made it an hour. Like I said, I got that reading done early, and I think I'm kind of losing my voice here a little bit. So I'm going to wrap it up. And I guess whatever number of podcasts we're on, and I think we know how we end it. We say we're going to stay positive, look ahead, be glass half full guy, and take action. You do it. You be proactive. Get out there and make things happen. And of course, knock, and the door will be open to you. Seek, and you'll find. Ask, and you shall be given. So that's it for the Colonel and the Kid podcast this week. See you next time. Don't say goodbye. We just say see you next time. So thanks for checking it out, and have a great weekend.